I am not an interviewer who enjoys light-hearted banter. I show little expression and rarely engage in small talk. I tend to question, probe, and seek verification, and at times I may even come across as emotionally distant. Some people say I'm calm, others say I'm cold. Some say I'm insightful, others say I'm harsh. But if someone were to ask me, what has 18 years as a journalist taught you? I would say the most important thing is to give every interviewee who sits before me questions that are worthy of them. This is what I understand as respect, and it is also what I believe to be the dignity that this industry, now undergoing transformation, deserves. From Chengdu through Wenchuan to Serta, crossing countless mountains and gorges, the drive takes 12 hours. Serta is on the plateau at the Sichuan-Qinghai border. The average yearly temperature is just 1 degree Celsius. For the rest of the year, it stays below 10 degrees. The world's largest Buddhist institute, Larungar 5 Sciences Buddhist Academy, is located here at over 4,000 meters altitude. There is someone I want to interview. I hope to document what currently exists because I feel this is a particularly important moment in history. It feels like a kind of farewell. I'm also very curious how a practitioner faces all these changes in the secular world, what his mindset and current state are like. Khenpo Sodargye, the most influential Tibetan Buddhist master in China. His disciples are spread all over the world, no matter where he goes. He is always surrounded by onlookers, asked for autographs and photos. Many disciples receive his blessings, considering it a great honor and fortune.
Hello, I am Sodargye. This is my story.
June 5th, 2016, this Khenpo, believed to have seen through life and death, announced the passing of his mother on his Weibo account. This was only one of the many upheavals he experienced over the course of that year. The day before your mother passed away, you returned to the academy. Is that right?
Yes, actually I wasn't feeling well that day. I was getting an IV at the school. But later, after I heard the news, I rushed over overnight. When I arrived, she knew I was there. She felt deeply content and at peace in her heart. She gently held my hand, then lovingly kissed it. She tried to speak, but her voice was very weak at that point.
Was there any conversation?
The conversation actually happened a couple of days earlier, because 2 days before I personally said everything I needed to say to her. But generally, people tend to be very attached to their children near the end of their lives. They're extremely devoted to their children.
Lately, my body feels a bit heavy. It doesn't seem like there's any serious illness. I don't really know why. I just have no appetite at all.
But you still need to eat something. The intravenous fluids the doctor gave you is meant to strengthen your body.
Yes, the doctor you arranged gave me fluids yesterday, and I took medicine too. My dear, I feel deeply blessed. You finally come back. Our family is together again. I'm truly happy today, blessed by Rinpoche. I've been happy since last night. Lately, I don't know why. I feel sleepy all the time. Sometimes I even fall asleep while talking. I don't know why either. It doesn't feel like dementia or anything like that. My dear, I used to be all right, but this year I feel like my strength is fading. I feel the blessings of the Three Jewels and His Holiness, Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche. Today our family feels like the happiest in the world. All my children are here. Everyone is joyful, especially you, coming back safely after your treatment. Seeing you makes me the happiest. I'm not just saying this to sound nice.
Yes.
After his mother passed away at 8 a.m. on June 5th, Khenpo hurried to the county town at the foot of the mountain to attend a meeting about replanning the academy. The next day, he went to the scripture hall as planned. He gave lectures on the Lotus Sutra, This was a crucial time for Larungar Five Sciences Buddhist Academy. Khenpo began most days at 7 a.m., attending all kinds of meetings, big and small. These meetings often lasted until 1 or 2 in the morning. Were you able to stay focused during the meetings?
Yes, I could. I was able to focus. I said what needed to be said and completed everything that needed to be done.
Is that a matter of emotional control?
No, there was no control involved.
I want to know, in private, what was your way of communicating with your mother?
In private, the way I communicated with my mother was usually that when I visited her, we would chat about the past, about my childhood, or about things from when I was young. She would often talk about those times. And I would also often chat with her about her spiritual practice, her health, and also about her mood, things like that.
Have you ever hugged your mother?
According to our Tibetan customs, it's actually quite rare for us to hug our mothers. But I think that when she was sick sometimes, I would feel a lot of pain in my heart for her. So I would often support her physically, just like that. There were a few occasions, but mostly it was my younger sisters and others who took care of her. So I feel that after she passed away, I should have spent more time with her. In this regard, I feel a slight sense of what could be called regret, because I was quite busy. So spending time with her often, it just seemed like every time I felt that my work was very important, that my spiritual practice was very important, things like that. But once she was gone, it felt like I really, truly should have spent more time with her back then. Now, in this world, I can't even find a single strand of her hair. So now there's no way to talk to her anymore. Sometimes I just feel like that.
This is what you often tell your disciples. Show filial piety while your parents are alive. But you didn't do it yourself. Is it okay to put it that way?
Yes, for myself. On one hand, I can say I have no regrets because when it came to her spiritual practice and other aspects, I think I did take good care of her. The only thing is, maybe the time I actually spent with her, what she especially hoped for was for us to eat together. Sometimes when I had time, if I could have lunch with her, she would be especially happy. But this happened very, very rarely.
What did your mother call you in private?
Just things like baby or darling. We usually say malo. And malo probably means baby or darling.
Is that a common term among Tibetans?
For the most part, yes.
Did you often express your feelings with your mother, for example, showing love to each other?
Yes, mostly through phone calls, for example. And when I came back, I would visit her. Well, that's just how it was, I suppose. Sometimes I would give her blessed items or something like that. Just give her some of these things.
I remember when His Holiness passed away, you once said, "Now it's a big orphan leading a group of little orphans." That was from the perspective of Buddhist disciples. I wonder, after your mother passed away, did you feel that same sense of being an orphan again?
When His Holiness passed away, and also last year, my other teacher, Khenpo Dewa, also passed away. Their passing, to me personally, was probably the greatest and most profound sorrow I have ever experienced. By comparison, my worldly mother, although she was incredibly kind to me, especially in nurturing my physical body, in raising me honestly, and in caring for me with such kindness, you could say it was truly, truly incomparable to anyone else. She was 85 years old. At 85 years old, when she passed away, it was quite peaceful. There was no suffering. She was even very clear-minded. To pass away in such a state, for me, truly, it didn't seem to bring an overwhelming and all-consuming sense of sadness. However, as for my own personal feelings, I found that the passing of my teacher even harder to bear. It felt even more, perhaps, as if in this vast, endless and boundless world, I felt like an orphan, utterly alone, as if I had just been dropped into this world. That kind of sadness was especially intense.
In 1985, 23-year-old Khenpo Sodargye arrived at Larungar Five Sciences Buddhist Academy and studied and practiced under Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, who passed away more than 10 years ago. Khenpo says, the feeling of missing his teacher has not faded at all. In fact, the longer time passes, the more he misses him. Just thinking of him brings tears to his eyes, and even in dreams it is the same. When your mother passed away, did you just cry?
This time I didn't.
There's a saying in Tibetan, a mother's heart is like water, while a son's heart is like stone. I'm really curious, at a moment like this, do you still agree with that saying?
Indeed, the perspectives of the mother and the son are completely different. Every mother loves her child deeply, But as for the child, comparatively speaking, perhaps doesn't care as much. But it's not really like being a stone, as people say. All is impermanent, whether it's our parents or our other loved ones. Many people in this impermanent world will inevitably experience impermanence.
I've met Khenpo many times and have conducted several in-depth interviews with him, but he rarely mentions his mother. From his limited descriptions of his mother, I know that his mother was illiterate, yet when he was very young, she tried to guide him to read and learn. When he left Gansi Normal School to become a monk, his mother disagreed with his decision and did not provide financial support for his living expenses. As the son of herdsmen, getting into a normal school was not an easy thing to do. After graduation, he would have had a stable job and income. There is no doubt. This is of great help to the family. Moreover, as a normal school student, dropping out halfway through would mean facing a penalty of up to 3,000 yuan. This was an amount that his family could not earn even in several years. Unexpectedly, a few years later, his mother followed him to Larunga Buddhist Academy and became a monastic herself. She would practice under the guidance of him. In other words, she became her own son's student.
I don't want it.
Then have a little later.
I really don't feel like eating at all.
How has your practice been?
I've recited many, the King of Aspiration prayers and Aspiration prayer to the Pure Land. I recited a little less during the ceremonies these past days.
Have you been reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha?
Yes, I've been reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha constantly. When the time comes, that's what I will rely on.
Have you kept up your practice since coming to the Buddhist Academy?
Yes, almost 30 years now. I've never disturbed another person's peace of mind. I've never harmed any living being, not even a tiny insect. Perhaps when I was younger, I may have stepped on one unknowingly. Now I feel ready to be reborn in the Pure Land.
Really?
Yes, if I die now, I feel genuine joy from my heart. I know you don't want me to go, but being reborn in the Pure Land now feels truly joyful. I pray to the three jewels and my guru. I pray to His Holiness. I've listened to so many teachings and practiced them deeply. Each major Dharma gathering left profound merit. I've done my very best in this life. Today, after reflecting on my life, I feel completely ready and have no regrets at all.
Yes.
When I came before, my mother would usually sit right in this spot holding a large prayer wheel. Yet when I came now, all I can do is recite the 49-day prayer for her passing. The place where she used to sleep is now completely empty, so sometimes, perhaps a person's death can suddenly disrupt the entire rhythm of life, the rhythm of so many things in life, and bring about a complete and earth-shattering change. So this is something that many people might find hard to imagine. That's why my younger sisters are all afraid to come up here. They feel that if they come up, the whole place brings them a huge, overwhelming emotional shock. They don't dare to look at the courtyard of this house. Whenever they see it, they might feel an especially intense sense of pain.
At times like this, the heart may feel even more fragile.
I probably don't feel that way, even though my health hasn't been very good this year, and on top of that, there have been many issues, both internal and external, but my mindset seems no different from before. I sleep well, I eat well, and I can walk just fine. Maybe for most people, when their mother passes away, they can't sleep for days. As for my sisters, several of them actually fainted at the time. I went to assist them in getting up, and I told them, don't be like this. But as for myself, maybe some people see me as unfilial, but actually it's not that I'm unfilial. I think I should use my own way to adjust my mindset.
From an ordinary perspective, you may seem cold or indifferent, not very emotional.
Yes, that's probably how it looks to most people. This year when I got sick, just the surgery alone actually took a total of 6 long hours. And then after that, My mother also passed away and various other things happened. Maybe this is what we call suffering. Just one hardship after another. It can be very painful. But it seems that on the one hand, when it comes to life, we may have a better understanding of life. No matter what we do, there's always the possibility of change and the possibility that things will happen. So for us, these things, as you can see, should be considered very normal. There's really nothing unusual about them. So I feel that I'm not fragile. I think it's in these aspects that when I'm at my happiest, I feel the most fragile. But when I'm at my most miserable, I feel that I'm very strong.
You feel the most fragile when you're happiest?
Yes, because with all these irresistible temptations and pleasures and such, people don't really adjust their mindset very well. On the contrary, when facing some suffering, the practices I've cultivated become more useful.
In recent years, I leave the city several times a year and come here, not for escape, but to search for something. I want to know, what exactly can religion bring to a person? Nowadays, Chinese people under the age of 40 have believed since birth in personal effort and that people can control their own destiny. But at the same time, there is also a deep sense of insecurity. Perhaps this is why I insist on asking, to understand a practitioner's perspective on what his worldly feeling of impermanence is.
This is Yingshu.
Yingshu. So look, think about these places. The changes that happened years ago, that is impermanence. The impermanence of nature, the impermanence of life. For example, when someone leaves this world, if you do not have the mindset or attitude to accept it in your life, isn't that impermanence? If you don't accept it, then what can you do? But it's not about being negative. After I accept it, I won't let myself become pessimistic. Is this a kind of understanding about reality? I've discussed the question of reality with my colleagues before in Buddhism. Reality means the true nature of things, which is usually obscured by various illusions and false appearances. From a certain perspective, ultimate reality is the result of ongoing inquiry. In fact, over more than 30 years of practice, Khenpo Sodargye has also been continuously exploring and verifying it. This February, due to a tumor on his left kidney, Khenpo underwent a 6-hour-long surgery in the hospital. Since the tumor was near a major blood vessel, a surgery that usually takes 2 or 3 hours took twice as long, and the risks increased significantly. Before the surgery, the doctor warned him of possible failure. What kind of preparation? Prepare to leave?
That's right.
Did your family know at the time?
Only my younger brother knew.
Who was with you in the hospital? Who waited outside the operating room?
There was a Khenpo present and also my nephew.
What did you say to them?
I didn't say much. I said life is impermanent. If I pass away, I hope no one is too sad.
6 hours. But before you entered the operating room, were you not worried at all?
Not really. When I entered the operating room, there were a lot of people in there at the time. Maybe Elle was late for 3 or 4 minutes. Then I chatted with the doctors in the operating room. Just talking with them, I asked them, how many surgeries have you done here? How old are you? Do you have belief? I asked a lot of questions. Then the doctor seemed a bit surprised and said, aren't you nervous? I said, there's really nothing to be nervous about. It doesn't really matter to me.
After surgery, the doctor instructed Khenpo Sodargye not to hurry back to the high altitude in Larong until the wound was healed. But he didn't follow this advice. He said that teaching his disciples at the academy made him feel more at ease. He was the first monk in mainland China to teach Tibetan Buddhism online. As early as 2006, he began teaching online. With the rise of social media, he opened a Weibo account and registered a WeChat public account. His posts received considerable readership. While teaching the Dharma, he was also a prolific translator. Some people even called him the modern-day Xuanzang. Starting in 1997, he began attempting to translate Buddhist scriptures from Tibetan into Chinese. Since then, no matter how busy, he set aside 2 hours each afternoon to translate scriptures, even during over 20 days in the hospital, when he would avoid the doctor's rounds, to continue his translation work.
Everyone has different values, after all. I think giving Dharma talks, reading books, these things bring me a lot of joy. And as a patient, if I were to dwell on my poor health every day, it would probably be even more painful. So it seems my mind is at ease. I told many doctors and nurses I never expected surgery could be such a joyful thing. They simply don't believe it.
Since you can use the word joyful to describe it.
It's because, I feel that most people originally think that surgery is very painful. But during this process, I still practiced some Dharma methods and in fact gained even more from it.
If the doctor really told you that you only had 3 months left, what would you want to do?
I might make arrangements for the translations still pending and for some courses yet to come, just make plans in those areas. Other than that, I don't think there's much more.
Looking back, do you have regrets in life?
So far, I would say I haven't left any regrets behind. In the past 54 years, at the very beginning, I was rather lost. But after I became a monk, I felt that life finally had meaning. More importantly, I had the chance to teach and explain the Dharma. That is, for some people through this communication, I was able to help them understand some Buddhist principles. This, I feel, is the most meaningful.
If I asked you to use a single word or short phrase to describe your current state of life, your current life status, what word would you choose?
The status of life of everyone is impermanent.
The 7th day after Mom left, Khenpo chose a sky burial for her. In the eyes of ordinary people, this way of saying goodbye seems a bit cruel, but in Tibetan Buddhism, it is a auspicious ritual. When your mother had her sky burial, were you there in person?
Yes, according to Buddhist teachings, her body was offered to the vultures as an act of generosity, so it was already being put to use. Many sentient beings were able to eat their fill. For her, this was absolutely her final act of giving.
When you were there watching at the time, didn't you have to endure some strong feeling?
I was also honestly very upset. So when I looked up to the sky, I saw the vultures, one after another, slowly stretching out their sharp claws, swooping down so quickly, and I felt an overwhelming sense of grief inside. But on the other hand, I thought this is just reality. No matter who we are, in the end, we all have to face this. Because the most impartial thing in this world is death. On the road to death, no one can avoid it. So on one hand, I truly felt a lot of pain, but on the other hand, I didn't watch the most brutal part of the scene. Maybe it was just too hard for me to bear. So I chose to look away. I went to recite scriptures instead.
You are very confident that Mom is liberated?
I wouldn't dare say that for sure.
But I watched the video of your last conversation with your mother. Your mother herself was very confident.
Yes, she said so herself. She was very assured about her spiritual practice and everything else. She had no regrets whatsoever.
Is this kind of leaving common among practitioners? For example, being about to leave this world, yet feeling full of confidence in attaining liberation.
Perhaps if someone has practiced for quite a long time and has been relatively successful, then at the time of death, all negative thoughts, all bad emotions are gone, and they just feel that leaving this world is actually a very happy thing for her. So it's possible that a few practitioners do experience this.
What are you feeling right now?
A sense of frustration and then a feeling of powerlessness. Depressed. A lot of negative emotions.
After the interview, Khenpo walked away in a hurry. Do you feel some distance?
He didn't just leave in a hurry. He ran away. There's a sense of unfamiliarity, I guess. It feels really disappointing because none of it was within my expectations. Later I found out the reason Khenpo Sodargye left in such a hurry was to attend a meeting about the reorganization of the Buddhist Academy. A few months later, I got a piece of data. It showed that in 2016, Khenpo attended a total of 483 meetings. During that week at the Buddhist Academy, the feeling that time was not on my side or was running out kept alternating. The Academy's development and changes in Khenpo's life intersected right here and now. We were all being swept by a sense of insecurity. But a successful interview requires a sense of safety. I thought I needed a bit of luck, or as Buddhists would say, seeking a little bit of external blessing.
Do you know what the altitude is here?
Over 4,000 meters, this place is called the Mandala. For followers of Tibetan Buddhism, coming here is a pilgrimage. In the hearts of Buddhist disciples, they believe that circumambulating the mandala can bring liberation and grant them strength. At this very moment, I am trying to let go of my negative emotions because I have scheduled a second interview with Khenpo for tomorrow morning. I probably won't get any sleep tonight. Looking down from the western mountain, countless redwood monks' quarters stretch out from the valley toward the surrounding peaks, each over 4,000 meters high, spreading across the landscape. It's hard for anyone visiting for the first time not to be awestruck. This Buddhist land is not only a sacred place in the hearts of pilgrims, but also a paradise for backpackers and photography enthusiasts. For the second day's interview, Khenpo Sodargye took us to the western mountain, a hillside on the opposite side. From here, you can also overlook the entire Buddhist academy. But unlike the western mountain, there aren't crowds of tourists here. This is probably a spot many visitors don't know. You seem very familiar with this hillside. Do you come here often?
I do. Sometimes when I have free time, I go into the woods to read, and sometimes I meditate among the trees. Other times I just look at the little flowers, things like that. That's it, the scenery is beautiful. Sometimes I see the blue sky and white clouds.
When was the last time you actually came here?
Recently, I actually haven't been here since the start of spring this year. When I was younger, I would sometimes spend an entire day peacefully in these woods, sometimes a whole day.
A whole day here?
Yes, sometimes I'd bring some food and just read or recite books all day.
Space out?
Yes, in Footprints on the Journey, I wrote The Yellow Fallen Leaves. Once I came to this place and saw that when autumn arrived here, the leaves would fall one by one. So I just watched these leaves and wrote it all down.
It's like how painters paint landscapes.
I'm an artist who paints inner psychological landscapes.
Khenpo Sodargye told me that this mountain valley where Larong is located was once the spiritual ground of the first Dondrub Rinpoche. At that time, 13 practitioners attained the rainbow body, the highest achievement in Vajrayana practice. Therefore, from a historical perspective, Larong Gar is a renowned sacred site in Tibetan Buddhism, and if you look down from a higher mountain, the entire valley takes the shape of a lotus flower. The feng shui here is excellent. When you see this scene before your eyes, what words come to your mind?
Very mysterious, sacred. You could even say it's a pure land on earth. That's just how I see it. Others may not necessarily agree.
Speaking of a pure land on earth, I recall hearing that your home was actually once burglarized at one point.
Yes, indeed.
This is a Buddhist academy. I was surprised when I heard about it.
As for our academy, although most of the monastics should be practicing very purely, sometimes there are people who dress in monastic robes just to be thieves or criminals. There are indeed cases of theft like this as well. There are also those who pretend to be beggars. In fact, over by the Sky Burial platform, some beggars there pretend to be a traffic police officer like this, directing cars and collecting fees. None of these people are from our Buddhist academy. But even within the academy, it's hard to completely avoid such things. Just like at the Vajra seat in India, the place where the Buddha attained enlightenment, even at that site, there are often petty thieves around as well, and there are especially large numbers of beggars. Even around the White House in the United States, in its surrounding areas, when security is lacking, there are also many different kinds of stories. So I think that no matter how pure or peaceful a particular area of the world may seem, there will always be some negative people or phenomena present. This is just a reality that exists. Perhaps this is a law of nature. Yin and yang are always in opposition.
Does this have anything to do with the open management style of the Buddhist academy?
Actually, I don't think so. Because the academy, in fact, according to the Buddhist academies, according to Buddhist precepts, it's actually not very open at all. Our academy is actually quite conservative. Because here, anyone who breaks the precepts or does anything that doesn't meet Buddhist requirements will be expelled without exception, but it's very hard to avoid completely. Some people even sometimes sneak in wearing monks' robes. This kind of thing also happened during the Buddha's time.
I'd like to know, after your home was burglarized, how did you feel? What was your reaction?
There was one time I brought back a statue of Manjushri Bodhisattva from India, and then it was stolen. After it was stolen, I felt a bit, because I was quite attached to it. But as for other things, I didn't really feel much about them. It seems I didn't really feel anything. I didn't really pursue the matter either. Some people asked if we should try to catch the thief. I said, just let it go. There's no need. Hopefully it will be beneficial to him.
Manjushri Bodhisattva's statue can bless him as well.
But he probably didn't think about receiving blessings. He just sold it off. He made a bit of money from it.
In 1980, when Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche established the Buddhist Academy here, Larungar was still a desolate, uninhabited place. There were only 32 students. In 1985, when Sodargye, who had dropped out of Gansi Normal School, came here, the number of people had just surpassed 100. In 1999, a New York Times report from Serta stated that nearly 8,000 monks were practicing here. Larungar Five Sciences Buddhist Academy was a major center for the study of Tibetan Buddhism worldwide. Over the past 30 years, more and more people have chosen to become monastics here. Among them are professors, doctors, and lawyers. Department directors from 4A advertising agencies, second-generation wealthy returnee PhDs, teenagers who left the secular world at a young age, and families of 3 who, having seen through worldly affairs, came here for life's ultimate answers. Today, tens of thousands of monks and lay practitioners live here. Larungar 5 Sciences Buddhist Academy is now widely recognized as the largest Buddhist academy in the world. This academy has attracted attention from more and more places globally. Do you think this is good or bad?
It could be both. There are advantages, but there are also drawbacks. As for the advantages, spreading this kind of positive knowledge, the more people in the world who know about it, the better. But the downside is, the bigger the tree, the more it catches the wind. So in the future, we may have to face many challenges.
I've heard that the Buddhist Academy is going to be restructured soon. Do you have any new plans? For example, will you spend more time traveling to more places around the world to spread the Dharma, or will you keep coming back to the mountain to teach?
As for the future, it depends on the circumstances. If the conditions are there, if the opportunities for spreading the Dharma outside are particularly favorable, then in that case, I might go out more often. If I feel that the conditions within the academy are more favorable in all aspects, then I might mainly stay at the academy. Of course, as for this year, I might spend half of my time teaching at the academy and practicing. As for the other half of the time, it will be spent going out to schools, prisons, and other places to give lectures. So you could say this is a kind of alignment of conditions. It just depends on where things are ready. Anywhere is possible.
When you are at the academy watching these young monks coming and going, how do you feel?
I often think back to when I first came to the academy. I was also very energetic and lively at that time, but my thinking was not yet mature. I'm not saying how mature I am now. However, sometimes actually my ideas are rather simple. And at that time, the wisdom of learning Buddhism, it should be very sharp. So sometimes I just feel very happy. Sometimes I wonder about these people's future spiritual practice and discipline. Will it have a positive outcome?
When we were sitting on the mountainside, Khenpo Sodargye pointed out to us the main hall he helped build. The Gondola Assembly Hall, Larong Hotel, Nuns Dharma Hall, and other important buildings of the Buddhist Academy. In January 2004, after the passing of Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, Lama Mutso took over as the abbot. But due to health reasons, she was not at the academy most of the time. The academy was managed by a council established by 15 Khenpo Lamas. They implemented a rotating management system for the council. The term changes every 5 years. At the beginning of 2014, Khenpo Sodargye completed his 5-year term. However, since 1987, he has always been in charge of the resident Han Chinese monastics. Most of the matters between the Buddhist Academy and the local government have also been handled mainly by him and Khenpo Tsultrim Lodro. They are the ones who liaise with the authorities, Khenpo Sodargye said. In recent years, there have been more tasks, and he has become so busy that he no longer has time to write his diary.
I used to write before, but as for the diary I write now, how should I put it? It's just that now every day I mostly record events, what meetings were held today, where I went to give lectures today, who I interacted with today. It seems like my personal reflections are written much less about these days.
It's more like a bookkeeping.
Now it's mainly just recording events, like today what building is being constructed at the academy, how many workers there are, the design details, what the size of the restroom is. These are the kinds of things I write in my diary now.
This diary became a manual?
Yeah, it's become much more practical.
So why don't you keep a diary anymore? Is it because of your mood or maybe changes in your life situation?
Maybe I've been doing more these past few years when there are a lot going on. It seems like my imagination, well, maybe it's faded a bit. Or maybe I just don't have time to imagine things anymore. So now at most I just jot down some events. It's all for practicality, I guess.
Do you like watching stars?
I do like watching stars.
Here must be the best place to watch stars.
Yes, and here on the top of the mountain, it's truly the best place to watch the stars. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a kind of practice where at night you can watch the stars and the moon. In the past, sometimes we would go up to the mountaintop to do this practice. The effect is really good at that time.
What a wonderful way to practice.
Yes, but this can't be passed on to others. It absolutely cannot be shared.
Let more people experience it. Let us enjoy the feeling of watching the starry sky while meditating. What comes to your mind when you watch stars?
When I watch stars, I feel even smaller and more insignificant. The stars are actually so huge, but from our perspective, they also seem so tiny. We humans tend to think too highly of ourselves, believing we're remarkable. Actually, if you look at us from another perspective, maybe we are even smaller. We see the stars as so tiny, but others may see us as tinier.
You've been so busy lately. Do you have time to watch the stars or just look up at the sky?
It doesn't require any special time. Every time I go out at night, I just look up and what I see are the stars. So I have time to look every night, sometimes in the morning, sometimes it's at night, sometimes I can even see the stars from my window.
The conversation on the hillside left me with mixed feelings. The sunlight there was wonderful, warming everyone's back with a cozy glow. The interview went very smoothly. When we talked about stargazing and the romantic way of watching the moon, everyone present smiled. It truly felt like a beautiful moment. But when you think about it in reality, every topic we discussed was related to loss. Beautiful things never last long. So even before it's over, people already start to feel nostalgic. Gradually, I also began to understand why, over the years, Khenpo Sodargye always feels the need to return to the mountains again and again, to go back to the academy. Every time you take a car up from the foot of the mountain and turn around the mountain bend, you might see this vast stretch of red monastic houses. What do you feel?
It just feels very familiar and comfortable here. Because basically, I've been studying here for so many years and practicing here all this time, day after day. It's like coming back to my own academy, and when I enter my own room, I just feel truly comfortable and very relaxed. Every time I come back, I share a post on Weibo saying that I have just returned to my little wooden cabin, and it just feels so familiar.
Relaxed, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Gives security.
Yes.
Feeling home is still best.
Yes, yes, but I've already left home to become a monk.
For monks, everywhere is home.
Yes, the whole world is home.
I'm really curious about the little wooden cabin that gives Khenpo Sodargye a sense of security, so I decided to go take a look. Wow, this is your little courtyard?
Yes, that's the study.
It's so beautiful. I've brought a copy of the Proust Questionnaire. This questionnaire consists of a series of fixed questions covering the respondent's lifestyle, life experiences, and values. It's said that Marcel Proust, the author of In Search of Lost Time, answered it twice, once at age 13 and again at 20. And his answers were completely different. This reveals the trajectory of his personal growth. That's also how the questionnaire got its name. Through Vanity Fair magazine's interviews with celebrities, the Proust Questionnaire is a template to probe people's values worldwide. I'm really curious. What kind of chemistry might occur between this template and a monk? What chemical reaction will there be? At this special moment in Khenpo Sodargye's life, I hope to use the questionnaire as a scale to record even more things. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Generally, when entering meditation, in the state of meditation, one experiences certain states that transcend the everyday, ordinary world. This is what we call undefiled happiness, which we consider should be the most perfect.
Which talent would you most like to have?
Being able to help others, I suppose, because some talents, although they make people envious in the end, they end up harming both oneself and others. People do not lack those kinds of talents, so we really hope for a talent that originates from moral virtue, especially one that truly benefits our human world and is helpful to the entire world. Such a talent we truly admire.
What is your greatest fear?
What I truly fear most is selfishness and laziness.
Are you afraid of having those traits yourself, or have you had them before?
Yes, I've had them before. Afraid having them. Sometimes I have them now, so that's what I fear the most.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Simply living until now.
Are you kidding?
Not kidding. It's really not easy to have made it to today.
What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
Well, sometimes I can be emotionally fragile. When I am facing certain things in life, or when it comes to the process of self-cultivation, maybe I have not always managed to persevere.
What is the trait you most deplore in others?
Being petty and calculating, I suppose.
Have you ever been like that yourself?
I have, and I hate that about myself too.
For example, when do you find yourself being petty?
How should I put it? Like when we're discussing something together at the time, I seem to be very petty and calculating, but then when it gets to that point, and I think about it again a couple days later, I realize how I felt then wasn't really reasonable.
What is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession is my faith, as well as wisdom and compassion. These qualities are what we commonly refer to as spiritual wealth, which is also known as the causes of the 7 noble riches.
What is your greatest extravagance?
My greatest extravagance, how should I put it, would be to go alone into a mountain cave and go into retreat for spiritual practice, or go up the mountain to watch blue sky and clouds. That is the greatest extravagance for me.
Just now in that scene, you must hope it was by yourself, instead of being surrounded by a bunch of people.
My extravagance, no hot pot. At least Rita's for me now. It's really hard to get into a mountain cave. Occasionally going there truly feels really wonderful.
Do you really practice in a mountain cave?
Yes, I really do practice in a mountain cave. I yearn for it, but there's nothing I can do about it.
What do you regard as the lowest depth of misery?
The lowest depth of misery. Some time ago, I had a 6-hour surgery. Compared to the suffering of hells, ghosts, and animals, this should be the lowest depth of misery in the human world.
What do you most dislike about your appearance?
As for my appearance, to be honest, I haven't really paid much attention to it at all. Not bad, I guess.
You're satisfied then?
It's fine. I guess so.
You're dodging my question, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Or are you just really confident about your appearance?
Yes, so you think it is quite bad, do you?
No, not at all. What is your greatest regret?
The thing I regret the most. Back when I was with my teacher, I believe there must have been many different opportunities. But at that time, maybe my teacher said a lot of meaningful things, including some things about our current daily life, some details and some teachings that are useful to people, as well as some Buddhist and many profound instructions, such as key points. But all of these, I didn't record them one by one. At the time, I felt as if my teacher would always be by my side like that. I never thought that one day he would be gone. When he left, it seemed that the value of his teachings was truly greater than and exceeded everything else.
What is the quality you most like in a man?
Being strong, steady, brave, and straightforward.
What is the quality you most like in a woman?
Tolerance and being able to interact positively with others.
What do you most value in your friends?
Loyalty and deep affection. How should I put it? Not someone who changes all the time, but someone who remains the same year after year. That kind of character.
What or who is the greatest love of your life?
In my entire life, my greatest love should be my guru, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche. And the thing I love most, probably books.
Yeah, I can tell. The whole house is full of books.
Yes, and there are more rooms filled with books.
When and where were you happiest?
When I'm reading, whether it's in the car, whether I am walking, traveling to different places, or just staying in my own home. Because through reading, a lot of worries just naturally disappear.
What is your motto?
My motto is, do no evil, do all good as much as possible.
Do you consider yourself an honest person?
Well, I guess so. Because as an ordinary person, to be 100% honest is probably impossible. Ordinary people have many ordinary traits, but among ordinary people, I am middling honest.
Do you fear misunderstanding? Have you been misunderstood often? In your position, isn't it common to be misunderstood?
It seems that I haven't, because as Shantideva says in the Bodhikariyavatara, if it is truly something that you yourself are able to change, there's no need to be dissatisfied with it. Just change it. Worrying or being upset about it doesn't help at all. In the same way, if I am pure in myself, then it doesn't matter if others wrong me. If I am not pure, then such judgments from others about me are only natural.
But don't you feel bad when being wronged?
I don't really feel wronged, I think. Maybe just occasionally a little bit. But it quickly disappears into thin air. When I look at the blue sky, all those feelings of being wronged just merge into it and become one with it. And at that moment, it's very likely that white clouds will appear nearby.
What can threaten you?
Sleeping in and being lazy.
Is that a waste of life?
Yes.
What could possibly even tempt you, perhaps?
The pleasures of the heavenly realm.
Have you ever been addicted to anything?
Reading books on Madhyamaka.
All related to spiritual practice?
Yes, and drinking
coffee?
And drinking Red Bull, but now I don't drink it anymore. I don't dare to drink it. Drinking Red Bull is addictive.
Oh, so it was doctor's advice instead of your own decision, right?
Actually, the doctor warned me before, but I didn't listen. But after having surgery this time, I started to feel that my own way of thinking might not be reliable, even though I still actually want to drink it.
Good for you. If you are asked to say something to atheists, what would you say?
The ultimate idea of Madhyamaka philosophy is actually that there are no gods and no ghosts, no external world or forms of any kind. It's just that kind of state. If atheism also reaches a truly atheistic view, with that view, I think that's pretty good.
If you could say one thing to the future builders of Laranga Buddhist Academy, what would you say?
When His Holiness was still alive, he said that this was a place of pure discipline, study, and practice, a Dharma center dedicated to benefiting others. Thus, to the future builders, I would say the same thing.
How would you like to die?
I hope to face it calmly, drawing on my spiritual practice. And more importantly, I really hope, just as our teacher said, to pass away while teaching the Dharma, either on the Dharma throne or in the lecture hall. Because I really enjoy this vocation of teaching and explaining the Dharma. If I could leave this world in such a way, it would be meaningful.
If you could choose, what would you like to reappear?
Well, to be honest, it would be my teacher.
Do you still feel like an orphan now?
Now, I still feel like an orphan even now. Sometimes, for example, when I'm doing something and I feel helpless, I really want to consult my teacher. At times in my practice, when there is no progress, I really wish my teacher could personally pat my head and give me a blessing. Sometimes in the process of doing things, when I really can't make a decision, I also really want to go to my teacher in person and ask what is truly the best way to handle this matter. So sometimes when I encounter certain problems or challenges in my life, I look at this world around me and I feel the need for a spiritual guide to help and advise me.
In the words of Khenpo Sodargye, 2016 was an extraordinary year. After a major surgery, his body had not yet recovered when his mother passed away. At the same time, the Buddhist academy where he had lived and studied for over 30 years was facing a complete reorganization. We had the opportunity to step into his life at that special period. And we came to understand how difficult what he considered extraordinary was. I had questioned the Khenpo persistently to find a sign, to explore other possibilities for our lives. But in this process, I unexpectedly saw even more. Khenpo too has moments of helplessness and indecision. But he says he is not fragile at all and is completely at peace inside. And he is still making an effort. Some people, upon hearing this, can't help but think he is too naive. I think that's the innocence he still keeps after seeing through life's true nature and impermanence. An innocence that endures, or more precisely, a deep love for life.